Hello and welcome to this Health Suppliers segment on Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Chris Shade. He's going to be a speaker at the 5th BioCeuticals Research Symposium that's being held in Sydney, Australia, the 21st through the 23rd of April, 2017. And he's going to be discussing environmental toxins. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Dr. Shade.
Thank you, Neal. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Now, give us a little bit of background about yourself.
Well, I focus most around toxicity and the converse detoxification. And I came originally from a background, a PhD, in looking at toxins, metallic toxins, specifically mercury in the environment, and applied everything that I learned there into clinical application of both the testing that we do and the detoxification strategies that we use.
Now, you're going to be a speaker at the BioCeuticals Research Symposium in Sydney. This is the 5th symposium that they've held. Is this the first time that you've been involved, or have you been involved with the symposium on other occasions?
No, this is the first symposium I've been at. Last year, or really fall of 2016, I did a 5-city tour of Australia under BioCeuticals name or for BioCeuticals when we release some products there for them.
Now, as far as what you'll be presenting during this 5th symposium, you say you have a background, PhD in testing heavy metals. Are you going to be talking about some specific toxins, or are you going to be talking about some of the effects of toxins overall?
Well, a little bit of both. My original focus was on metallic toxins, mercury, then expanding out into the big four, which is mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and lead. But really we're exposed to a whole soup of different toxins, and the approaches for all of these toxins have certain unifying factors where it's the same approach for all of them, and then certain differentiating factors. So when I lecture, I'm going to be lecturing about here's how we address detoxification in general. And then if we're talking about metals, we're going to add this dimension on. If we're talking about plastics and volatile organics, then we're going to emphasize this other dimension.
Now, are there toxins that different effects on different parts of the body, say the nervous system, the immune system? Will you be separating them down into which specific parts that we should be wary of when dealing with these toxins?
Not specifically. I won't go too far down into that. Most of the doctors that I'll be lecturing to already have some of the background of what the different toxins do. And we'll do a little overview of that, but I'd rather focus the time on how to create the most effective strategies to get the body to naturally rid itself of these toxins. Oh, so the body can naturally rid itself of some of these toxins, these heavy metals. When I hear the word heavy metal, I'm thinking of, something that's going to be around for a while. Give us maybe one or two strategies that we can take with us to maybe help us as far as detoxification. Yeah, well, I think it's a fairly simple thing to look at conceptually. The metals get into us, and we have to get them out, and we're going to use something called the glutathione system. And glutathione is a molecule that you make in your cells, and it's an antioxidant, and it's also a detoxification molecule. And it's put together from cysteine, which is a sulfur-based amino acid. And then it's got a bunch of different enzymes and transporters that work with it. And so when I teach about this, I say there's the cellular aspect of getting the cell to push that metal out of the cells. And then there's the filtration aspect. So if you look at the cellular as kind of a microcosmic, you have to throw it out into circulation, which would be in the lymph and the blood. And then you have to filter that with kidney, lymph, and GI. So we need to do things that will feed that glutathione system, and that means taking things that help you build glutathione, like N-acetylcysteine will help that, but you can also get direct supplementation of glutathione with liposomal glutathiones. And then some of the things that we think of as sort of superfoods, we find stimulate parts of this system. So green tea extract, lipoic acid, some of the compounds in broccoli and cabbage and garlic, all of those stimulate you to make more of not just glutathione, but the enzymes that work with it. And so that class of supplements is getting the cells to spit the metals out of the cells. And then we have to, on the flip side, support the filtration, and that's taking things that support the kidneys that are thought of as diuretics, things like corn silk or cranberry that make you pee more. And then you have to support the liver with things that make you move bile, and that would be things like phosphatidylcholine or bitter herbs. All those help you move bile, and that was why bitters were used so much, in the last 100 years as sort of a cure-all, is because when you move bile, you move toxins. And then the last thing you need to do is keep your GI tract moving, lots of fiber, and if you need it, things like magnesium or other laxatives to keep that moving.
You also were involved in Quicksilver Scientific. Are you still affiliated with that company?
Yes, I am the founder and still the principal of Quicksilver Scientific.
Okay. And you've also developed some techniques unique to your practice for dealing with mercury and other toxins. Is that correct?
Yes, we have specialized testing that separates different forms of mercury. It's called mercury speciation. And so you get mercury exposure from eating fish. It's a big one, but you get a lot from your dentistry. And so the dental mercury amalgams are a big source too. And they go into your body and they move around in different forms and they're excreted in different ways. And so this enables you to look at blood, hair, and urine and separate these forms of what we call the mercury tri-test and get a map of the mercury disposition in the body. And then, of course, we develop very specific product systems and protocols for detoxification of mercury as well as the other heavy metals, and now we've branched into general detoxification to cover all the other compounds that we are exposed to.
Where can our listeners get more information about you and your research, and also about Quicksilver Scientific?
Well, they can go to quicksilverscientific.com or quicksilveracademy.com. Quicksilver Academy hosts all of the webinars that I do and a lot of our educational material. And there's one other site called Pure Expressions. That's PUREXPRESSIONS, and that's our retail direct-to-consumer site. So between those sites, there's a lot of information, and there's a whole YouTube channel around the webinars as well.
Great. Well, congratulations on being invited to speak at the 5th BioCeuticals Research Symposium. They're in Sydney, Australia, on the 21st through the 23rd of this month. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon, Dr. Shade.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure, too.
Thank you. You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neal Howard, with Dr. Chris Shade. He's obtained his Bachelor of Science and Master of Science degrees from Lehigh University in Environmental and Aqueous Chemistry. He's also the president and CEO of Quicksilver Scientific, and he's been here talking with us about his presentation at the 5th BioCeuticals Research Symposium on heavy metal toxicity and tips on how to reverse some of the effects of these toxins. Transcripts and audio of this program are available at healthprofessionalradio.com.au and also at hpr.fm. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, listen in, and download at SoundCloud.